going to flip this guy over and do his bottom as well.
Hi, welcome to Cakes with Anna. I'm Anna and this is Beth.
Hello.
We're going to show you today how to make one of our most requested, most popular wedding cakes.
Definitely.
I was going to say they're a bit old school, but I probably shouldn't say that.
I think they are, but they came in a while ago, but they haven't gone out.
What's quite nice about this cake is they do look like you could have a go at them at home. Sometimes they're good and it's a success. Sometimes it's not.
I think a really good one is great and a really bad one is
bad.
Is bad.
So we're going to give you our tips today of how to make it a good one. We want to make a good one.
Yeah, let's make a good one.
We are the professionals and we will show you. So we're going to start with the two-tier semi-naked cake. What flavours are we doing, Beth?
We've got, so the bottom layer is an 8-inch pistachio, and then on top of that we're going to put a 5-inch, which is going to make a nice two-tier shape.
Yeah.
But yeah, luxury chocolate and the pistachio, and then filled with raspberry buttercream.
One thing I wanted to say about this style of cake is you can have different flavours on the different tiers, and because it's got a thin layer of buttercream around the outside, it doesn't look completely different, it doesn't look wrong. So if a bride wants to have a chocolate on the bottom and a vanilla in the middle and a carrot on the top, you can still do that because you've still got the buttercream around the outside, which sort of shields the colour.
It masks the colour a little bit, doesn't it?
It masks the colour of the cake, but there is something that you need to do to make sure that the buttercream around the outside is all uniform, otherwise your cake will look slightly odd. Okay, so this is our 8-inch cake. We have baked 2 pistachio sponges, and then we have sliced the tops off and then sliced through the middle so that we are left with 4 really neat flat cakes. Put them on the top.
And you have a bottom on the top and a bottom on the bottom, and that means that you get a nice straight top. Because when we're stacking a 2-tier, it's super important that this stays completely level.
If you were to look down the sides of these cakes before we've done anything, you can see that they're really nice and straight already. So we're going to start off by filling this pistachio cake, and to do that, I'm just going to take the layers off. So we're going to put some buttercream on the bottom, and then we're going to put raspberry jam on the top here. Our buttercream for this cake is pink. Now the reason we've chosen to do this one is because we want to show you how you can still get the white buttercream finish while having a coloured buttercream inside. So let's start by syruping.
Where's the syrup at?
So we're going to start by syruping our cakes.
So it's quite a crumbly sponge, and it's not dry, but it's not very liquid. I don't want to say it's dry. I'm going to syrup this. We want to get a really nice, super moist feel to it, and I'm going all the way around the outside. We don't want to leave any patches of unsyrupped because it will be a slightly different colour and it's very easy to tell. I'm syruping 1 layer straight away, but I'm going to flip this guy over and do his bottom as well, just to make sure there's a really nice, even syruping on this cake.
So we have syruped our sponges, and then we're going to put our raspberry jam on the top.
But our raspberry jam is super strong because we make it ourselves out of puree, so we don't actually need a very thick layer of it.
Yeah, you definitely don't want too much jam because you will end up with a sliding cake, and that is the worst thing that could possibly happen here. Right, so we're going to put buttercream onto our base layer now. Now, I want both of my tiers, the top and the bottom, to look uniform. We are going to use some vanilla buttercream, which we have pre-made.
Yes. What's our butter sugar ratio for our buttercream?
Beth, I do not know. You'll need to tell me.
3 to 1?
Okay.
What's our sugar butter ratio?
6 kg of butter, 9 kg of icing sugar.
It's a 3 to 2 ratio.
Good maths.
Yes, thank you.
I'm looking for some scissors.
Oh.
Scissors. Okay, I have got a 1 centimetre piping nozzle. They make a really perfect round piping shape for what we need to do here. So I've got my nozzle in there. The only reason we need to do this technique is because we're going to have such a thin layer of buttercream around the outside that the buttercream that is in between the layers of cake will show.
Yes.
And that's why it needs to be really neat. So I'm going to pipe a circle just around the outside of my cake. Now what is really important here is that you do not go over the edge of your cake. You want to stay inside the sponge and just letting it fall down the cake. And then we're going to fill that with our pink raspberry buttercream. Okay, here we go. Vanilla buttercream around the outside, raspberry buttercream in the middle, and then our layer of sponge is just going to sit on the top. I'm going to come right down to eye height and just check that I've put that in the right place. And if I haven't, I will just adjust it and push it to the side a little bit. That looks fine. Just going to push my edges down. Just do a quick layer of syrup on the top here, right to the edges. You want to be a bit careful when you pick up your sponge. They can break.
8 inch is probably the max I would do by hand, but what you can do is get another acrylic, slip it underneath so that when you pick it up, it doesn't just crack in half, and then help yourself flip it on.
Another really good tip is making sure that your cake is cold. You don't want it frozen, but cold. The butter in the cake will firm up, and it means that when you pick the cake up and put it on the top, it is much less gonna break.
Yeah.
Much less
Much
gonna
less
break?
gonna break.
Right, I'm gonna do my next layer of buttercream. Brilliant. So this cake now is gonna go in the fridge, I would say for a good half an hour.
Yeah.
It gives you time to fill the next cake, and then once that one's done, we can get this one back out. Oh, fancy meeting you here, Lucia. So we have our 8 inch pistachio cake filled and in the fridge setting up, and that gives us time to fill our top tier.
Yes.
This is our, it's like our rich chocolate sponge.
Yes, a super rich chocolate cake that you would give to Bruce Bogtrotter.
This is a 5 inch. This one needs a little bit less syrup.
Too much syrup and it will just completely disintegrate. That's how sort of light it is almost.
So we're filling this cake with a chocolate ganache. This is our luxury chocolate cake. It is chocolate through and through.
It is.
But because we want to have a cake at the end of it that is white, we have to put this white line around the outside, exactly like we did with the lower tier. We're going to start off again, just piping a circle of buttercream around the outside of our sponge.
And what I find is quite nice about this ganache is that it sets firm enough that your cake will be solid, but when you cut into it and eat it, it melts in the mouth.
And perfect for a wedding cake as well, because you know that on the warmer days in the summer, this will hold up.
It's quite a nice repetitive process, isn't it?
It
If you
is.
were relaxed in your home kitchen making someone's wedding cake, this isn't too stressful.
It's when you've got 5 wedding cakes to do,
In
you're
5
running out of
minutes.
time. Yeah. Okay, so the final layer is on. We'll do the final turn just to make sure we've got a lovely straight cake on all sides. I think we're good to go in the fridge.
Lovely, go in the fridge. There you go, so I've just got this out the fridge. It's fairly firm.
Now this next step is essentially a crumb coat. And that crumb coat is to essentially catch the crumbs that could end up on the outside of your cake, making it look crummy. With a semi-naked cake, to really eliminate the crumbs, we brush the outsides. Just with our silicone brush, just brush away any of the crumbs that are sitting there waiting to get smoothed into our buttercream.
Like skin tags.
Yeah. As I go around the outside of the cake, you can see that I've got some buttercream that is further in, and I've got some buttercream that is slightly out. Now this bit here is exactly what I told you we shouldn't be doing, and I'm quite glad that I've got that there. So we have our silver scraper. I've got a large one, and this is what we're going to use to get a really nice smooth finish on the outside. We have our vanilla buttercream. I'm actually going to put this in the microwave for a couple of seconds, and the reason why you want a slightly softer buttercream is so that it's much easier to spread around the outside. If your buttercream is too hard or too cold, as you spread it, it will pull away from the cake and you will end up with crumbs in the cake, which is exactly what we're trying to avoid. So I'm going to put my buttercream on the top. With my palette knife here, I'm just pushing the buttercream to the edges of the cake, and I'm going to let that buttercream go over the edge. So I'm now going to start paddling my buttercream around the edge of the cake.
What you want is a fair amount between your palette knife and your cake. I'm about to sneeze. You want a good layer to start with, because when you start peeling away, that's when you'll start revealing crumbs. So you don't want to be reusing anything, you want to be fresh every time.
So I've covered my cake, just going to add in a little bit more on the gaps. So this is where we want to basically take off most of the buttercream.
Semi-naked it.
We want to semi-naked it. This 90-degree angle to the cake is not good. I want it to be...
It's 45, but it's probably not. It's probably more like 35.
Very technical, a 35-degree angle.
And a cute angle.
So I'm pressing my smoother quite firmly against the cake. So this is what I've taken off. I'm just going to get rid of this in my buttercream bowl. I'm just going to go back on the cake, pressing firmly, and I'm holding my right hand still, and I'm turning the turntable with my left hand.
I think with these cakes, it's really helpful to have a turntable.
Yeah.
Without a turntable, you'd really struggle to get that nice, smooth finish.
Another tip here is to not keep going over it. You almost want to just do what you have to do and then leave it, because the more you go over it, the more crumbs you will be releasing from the cake underneath. I want to show you where. Okay, so here, this is where I had my buttercream coming out of the cake. You can sort of see a different texture of buttercream compared to this one, which has just been filled with the soft buttercream. I'm going to come down to eye level on my cake, and I'm just going to spin it around and see if there's any areas of it that I want to reveal a little bit more sponge coming through. So here you can see there's quite a lot coming through, and then here there's not that much. Now, different people like different amounts, and this is a problem that you might come across. You don't know if your bride actually prefers a semi-naked cake that shows more sponge coming through compared to one that has a slightly thicker layer. This is actually a question that we ask our brides and groom, but mainly the bride, let's be honest. I am going to just very, very lightly pull my scraper across this bit just to reveal a little bit more sponge. A little bit off here, and do the final layer with my heated scraper. So I'm just going to dunk this in boiling hot water. Straight
from the kettle, make yourself a cup of tea at the same time.
Absolutely. How many cups of tea do you drink a day? At least 15, not
Probably.
decaf.
Full fat.
I'm going to start at the side of the cake that is furthest away from me, going to spin the turntable at the same time as pull my scraper around, and I'm going to stop at the same place that I started. So this is the base of our semi-naked cake. Let's put it back in the fridge, get set up, and then we can do the same to our top tier. So as you can see here, we've got this build-up of buttercream around the edge, and we're just going to use a really hot, sharp knife to slice that off and give us a nice sharp edge. Beth, do you want to do the honours?
Yes, small thin knives is what you want for this. And then I've got just a jug of hot water to dip my knife into. And then you're just gonna take little chunks at a time, and I'm just gonna keep going the whole way around the cake.
I can't help but feel like this looks like quite a satisfying job.
It's a bit satisfying. It feels like those cow hoof cleaning videos. Sometimes I watch them to relax.
Watching cakes for you isn't particularly relaxing.
I tried watching Bake Off last night and I couldn't.
Why?
Like, I just watch it and I'm like, it just
Don't do that.
makes me panic. You can see that I've got, I mean, it's not too bad because my cake was super cold, but there's a little bit of fraying that's happened, and I just take my finger and I smooth the edge of it so that the buttercream isn't frayed. It gives it a little smooth edge.
What we need to do now is get our cake off this acrylic board and onto our cake board.
Yes.
I'm going to put a little bit of buttercream on the
Secure
base
it on.
here, 3 points, and flip in. So as I flipped it over, I didn't know if my cake was going to be completely central or not. Now, it needs to be pushed over this way. The easiest way to do this is just to give the cake a little bash No, don't bash the cake, bash the board really gently, and your cake will just move very slowly over to the side that you're bashing. Okay, I'm gonna get a clean palette knife and just clean up the edges.
Yeah.
And we are now ready to dowel the wedding cake. So unbelievably important. It's like the scaffolding inside the wedding cake that holds the wedding cake up together. No cake should ever be resting on any cake below it. So we're essentially going to put the scaffolding inside the cake using these plastic dowels. We're going to push them through and then we're going to cut them so that they are flush with the cake. When we put our second tier on the top, that second tier is sat on the top of the dowels, not resting on the cake. So we've got a 5-inch cake going on the top of our 8-inch cake. So the first thing I'm going to do is mark out what a 5-inch cake looks like on there. So I'm going to go and get my 5-inch board. Do we have 5-inch boards? This 4-inch board is going to do the job. So if I was to place that on here, I'm then going to just mark around the outside of this board. So I know that my dowels need to be within this circle. I'm only using 3 because I've only got a little 5-inch cake. So I've put my 3 dowels in the cake, and now I need to come down to eye height and just mark on the dowel where I need to cut them. Just like a slight fraction above the cake. If it's too high, they'll sit on the dowels and not have any security from the cake as well.
You want the pressure to be even across them all.
So I've just given them an extra push down just to make sure I had gone right to the base of the cake. We've got these snips. They're quite violently sharp.
Yeah.
So I'm taking one dowel out at a time, taking my snips and putting that dowel straight back in to its home. There we go. Do you know what? I can see here, this dowel is poking up just a little bit and I don't like it. So I'm gonna fix it. That's the one. Should we get our 5-inch cake? I'm just cutting a bit of parchment paper out just to lie on the top of our 5-inch cake. If it's not really cold, it has a tendency to stick to the acrylic when we flip it. Release this here, and we're going to put a little bit of buttercream on our cake board. So we have now got our 5-inch cake. If you don't have a cake board, those dowels will just push straight into the cake and your cake will sink. Beth, do you mind putting a little blob of buttercream over the dowels? Okay, so we're going to put our 5-inch cake on here. One thing to remember to do is find your fronts of the cakes. So I'm going to choose this bit here, and I'm just going to place that on the top. Okay, so we're almost finished, but not quite. I want to put a seam around here just to make sure that our cake just looks perfect and it's just finished off really nicely.
So to make a good seam buttercream, you want it to be nice and soft.
Lovely. Got no nozzle in here, I'm just going to nip off the end. So it's this seam here that I want to hide, and it also gives a little bit extra support for kind of connecting the cakes together. I'm just going to squeeze my buttercream around the edge. Now this is going to look scary and terrible, but it won't in the end. So let's go around here. I need some cling film for this.
Lovely. It's a Rapmaster 3500.
And I'm just going to wrap my finger in it.
Yeah, bag it up.
And I'm going to run my finger over the top of the buttercream.
It's just neatened it up a treat, isn't it?
That has neatened it up a treat. So this is our finished semi-naked 2-tier cake. That definitely needs to be finished off with some sort of decoration.
Yes.
But it provides a really good base for a lot of things. Fresh flowers with gold leaf, little cake toppers. There are so many things that you could do. So this is our finished semi-naked cake. We've got our 5-inch on the top, our 8-inch on the bottom. So we've got another video coming up for our chocolate cake where we just show you some more in-depth stuff about how we make it, because it's a really good recipe. So check that one out. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.